Hi there, I'm Tami Wollensak, divorce mortgage specialist and the founder of Empowered Uncoupling. If you're going through a divorce and thinking, I really want to stay in my house, you've probably heard someone say, you can just assume your mortgage. And at first, that sounds great, right? You keep the low interest rate, your payment stays the same, and you don't have to refinance. But here's the truth: mortgage assumptions aren't all that simple. They take time, they require you to qualify on your own, and sometimes they just don't work out. So let's talk about what that really means in plain language so you can make confident, informed decisions before you sign your settlement agreement. When you assume a mortgage, you're keeping the existing loan that's already on your home. Same rate, same balance, same terms. You're not getting a new loan. You're taking over the one that already exists. But you still have to qualify to keep it. If it took two people to qualify for that mortgage when you bought the home, now you're qualifying on your own with your own income, your own assets, and your own credit. That's a big shift. The lender isn't just changing the name on the loan. They're making sure you alone can handle the full financial responsibility. And it's not your original lender who decides. It's the mortgage servicer, the company you send your mortgage payments to. Even if you have a conventional loan, they might allow an assumption because of the divorce, but it's completely up to them. And here's the hard part: they're not on your timeline. Some of the big banks can take, what I've heard, 6 to 8 months just to process an assumption. So if your divorce decree says it needs to be done in 30 or 60 days, that can cause a lot of unnecessary stress. Another thing most people don't realize is your mortgage servicer won't even start the process until your divorce is final and they have all your final signed paperwork, including your marital settlement agreement. They need to be clear on exactly what you signed up for in your divorce. Things like who's responsible for what debts, whether you'll be paying or receiving support, and what your overall financial obligations look like moving forward. They're basically looking at your entire new financial life to see if you can qualify to take over the loan on your own. So it's really important to think through these things before your settlement is finalized. Make sure you understand whether an assumption is possible and have a plan B in case it's not. Once everything is signed, it's really hard to go back and make changes. When you apply for an assumption, you go through a full qualification process, just like if you bought the home brand new. You'll need to provide your pay stubs, your W-2s, your tax returns, your bank statements, and your credit will be reviewed, as well as the marital settlement agreement. If you're both on the loan before, the servicer needs to see that your individual income and credit are strong enough to support the payment on your own. Here's a big one. If you plan to use a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC, they call it, to pay off your ex their share of the equity, that can cause your assumption to be denied. Most lenders won't approve an assumption and a new lien at the same time. They don't order a new appraisal. They use the value from when they first got the loan, which means that the numbers might not match today's market. Sometimes the rules for qualification on an assumption are even stricter than for a refinance. Even though it's not a brand new loan, there are still costs involved. You have title and recording fees, lender or processing fees, and sometimes escrow adjustments for taxes or insurance. It's usually less than a refinance, but it's not free. And again, the process can take months, 4, 6, sometimes 8 months. So make sure that your divorce agreement allows for that kind of time. Having a little flexibility and a backup plan can save you a lot of headaches down the road. Now let's talk about the financial side of keeping the home. In most divorces, the home is the biggest shared asset, and the equity in the home has to be divided somehow. If you're keeping the house, the equity you owe your spouse will need to be exchanged through other assets. Most likely things like retirement funds, investments, or cash savings. So if you owe your spouse, let's call it $100,000 in equity, You might be giving up $100,000 of your 401k or another asset to make it even. Before you agree to that, make sure it makes financial sense. Sometimes giving up retirement savings for home equity can create a big imbalance later. Because remember, home equity isn't cash. You can't spend it. You can't use it unless you sell or borrow against the property. It's tied up in the walls of the home. That's what we call being house poor. You own the home, but you don't have access to the money you need for your life. So before you make that trade-off, look at your entire financial picture. Keeping the house should feel empowering, not like a burden. Think of it like buying your own home again. Make sure it truly fits your life after divorce. A mortgage assumption can be a great tool, but it takes time, planning, and realistic expectations. And the best time to explore your options is before you sign your settlement agreement. That's where I can help. If you're not sure whether you can qualify to assume your mortgage, or you just want to understand what all your housing options and financial options look like, let's chat. Schedule a time with me so we can go through it together. What's possible, what's realistic, and what truly supports your future. My goal is to help you feel clear, confident, and empowered before you make any financial decisions. Because this isn't about keeping a house, it's about protecting your financial stability and creating a home and a future that truly feels like yours. So thanks so much for listening. Hopefully this was helpful. Please share or like this video, and I'll see you on the other side.